Hi, and welcome to the Caterpillar Cross Stitch YouTube channel. My name is Ford, and I've been teaching cross stitch for a couple of years now, both here on YouTube and in a class at my local university. Recently, I've been noticing that in a lot of craft teaching environments, people have a tendency, myself included, to kind of skip over or gloss over some fundamental and important pieces of information because to us they're so basic that we sort of assume everyone already knows them. This leaves learners with fundamental gaps in their knowledge and sometimes not even realizing it. Other times being afraid to ask those questions because they feel like they already know or afraid of asking a stupid question. So for today's video, I want to do a rundown of the answers to some of those most common questions that I see people being afraid to ask. So whether you're learning cross stitch or whether you think you might be teaching someone cross stitch in the future, these pieces of information will be something worth paying attention to. I'm going to be throwing a lot of information at you real fast here, so if you would take a moment right now to subscribe to the channel, and when we're done, like this video and leave me a comment. I have a goal of hitting 100,000 subscribers this year, and I'd love it if you were one of them. Alright, so to get started, first thing, the thread that we use for cross stitching, and indeed for a lot of embroidery, is called Floss. 6-strand embroidery floss. The most common brand that you'll see is DMC, and you'll see on the label right here it has a 25. That's number 25 6-strand embroidery floss. And you'll find it sold in skeins like this. If the skein that you're seeing in the craft store looks different than this, like it's bigger and more twisted, or if it's on a ball, or if it's on a spool, that's the wrong kind of thread. You want ones that look like this for cross stitching. You'll notice on one of the labels on this skein, which by the way, it is pronounced skein, has a number on it, in this case 608. That is the name of this color. Sometimes on the shelf at the store, in the description of the pattern, you'll see other descriptive names given to the colors. Those are all unofficial, and so they might vary from place to place. The number on the skein is the correct name of that color. So you might see this called Harvest Orange or Pumpkin Orange or something in a pattern, but its real name is 608. You probably noticed that I called it 6-strand embroidery floss, and that's because the way we use this floss is not to use the entire strand. And if you pull from the side where the number is, it comes out easily, whereas if you pull from the end on the other side, it will tangle up. I can separate those strands very easily by just tapping the end of it, and there you'll be able to see those 6 different strands of the floss. Now in cross stitching, we don't usually use all 6 strands of that floss. Most of the time we use only 2 of them, so that creates the question of how to separate those strands. If you try to pull them apart and separate them like this, they'll pretty much immediately tangle up and it will be a whole endeavor. Here's the easiest way to separate them. You just tap it so they separate a bit, grab one of those strands, gently pinch the rest of it, and pull. You can use your fingers here to kind of guide it so you don't get a knot like this that might cause it to tangle. But if you just keep pulling, you'll see it gathers up on the underside of my fingers, and then once the strand I need is free, it comes out. There's a very popular technique in modern cross-stitching called a loop start. If you haven't learned that yet, I'm going to teach it to you in a little bit, and it will change your life. But one of the questions that frequently gets asked about loop start is, when a pattern calls for 2 strands of floss, do you use 2 strands folded over, or do you use 1 strand folded over and that counts as 2? And the answer to that question is that 1 strand folded over is 2 strands. You're effectively making a stitch that is 2 strands of floss wide. So either 2 separate strands or 1 strand folded in half is your 2 strands that your pattern calls for. Another great option if you're worried about asking a stupid question is to find the social media presence of Caterpillar Cross Stitch. We have an amazing Facebook group and followers of our Instagram with a really loving and supportive community that you don't have to worry about being made fun of if you ask a question that you feel like you ought to already know the answer to. Now when cross stitching, we use the holes that are already there in the fabric rather than punching new ones the way you would with embroidery or sewing. You can see those holes pretty prominently here in this piece of Aida, which is what we call this type of fabric on which most cross-stitching is done in my store. And those come in various sizes. I have a whole video about what kind of size to use. I have a whole video. So what we use for that is a tapestry needle. That's how it will be labeled in your craft store or in your stitching supply store. And those come in various sizes. I have a whole video helping you figure out what size of needle to use, but one thing to keep in mind is that as the number of the needle goes up, the size of the needle goes down. So this size 24 tapestry needle, you can see, is both longer and thicker than these size 26 tapestry needles. So if the needle that you're using feels too big, you want to use a needle with a higher number, which means a smaller size. And on the subject of using needles, I sometimes see people saying that they tie a knot or slip a hitch around the eye of the needle to keep the thread from pulling out of it while they're making a stitch. But this puts all of the stress in one place on the needle and makes it really hard to change the length, because I can shorten how far I have to pull the needle with each stitch by just pulling more of the end through. But if you tie a knot, then you can't change that. So there's a really easy way to stop it from slipping while you're pulling your stitch, and that is just to press your ring finger against the eye of the needle while you're pulling your stitch. That will lock that floss against the eye of the needle so that it won't slip while you're pulling. That can hold quite a bit of weight and you not have to worry about your stitch coming out without having to tie a knot around it. Now, a lot of us use embroidery hoops for cross stitching because it helps hold the fabric taut, but a lot of us were never taught actually how to load a hoop properly. It's really easy to do if you have a flat surface. You just use a table. All you do is you take the inner hoop of your embroidery hoop, you lay your fabric across it, and you open up some slack on the retaining screw there. Then you can just press the outer ring down around the fabric, and if the fabric is really stiff, it will sometimes want to push it back up. You just hold it there and start tightening that screw down. Now you can tighten it down a good portion of the way, and if you'd like your stitching surface to be nice and tight, you tighten it down till you start to experience some resistance, then you pull that taut across that inner hoop and tighten it down the rest of the way, and that will hold the tension for you. So now I'm going to teach you the loop start, which for a lot of people is a total game changer. And the key to this is that you start by putting both ends of a single piece of floss through the eye of the needle, so that at the other end, instead of two ends, you have a loop, or what's known in rope work as a bight, B-I-G-H-T. And so then when we make our first stitch, we can do that from the front of the project. We can pull that down most of the way through so that that bight stays on top of the fabric. Then when we put our needle up through, we put it through that little loop. So we're basically creating a very simple hitch that holds the thread to the fabric. And then we can just put our needle back down through and pull that bight onto the back side. And then we're just ready to carry on stitching. Now you'll notice that rather than making all of my little X's all at once, I'm making the first half of each stitch in a row. And then I can come back later and cross each of those stitches. This is what's known as the Danish method. And you'll also notice that that means with each stitch I'm starting in the bottom left corner of the stitch, I'm going up to the top right corner of the stitch. And there are a number of reasons that I like this. One of them is that it uses a minimum amount of floss and it keeps the back of the project looking nice and tidy. It also makes it easier to undo stitches if I've made a mistake. And it helps make sure that all of my stitches are crossed in the same direction. If you want your stitches to look tidy, the first thing that you learn is that you want each of them to have the same direction, which means your bottom leg is the one that slants to the right, and then your top leg of the stitch is the one that slants to the left in order to form your X. But some people then get a little confused about that and think that they need to do every stitch bottom left to top right corner. But as long as it's slanting in the same direction, you can go top right to bottom left, say if you normally work from left to right and now you're working from right to left, and that amounts to the same thing. So you want your stitches to slant in the same order, but you don't have to make them in the same order in order for it to stay nice and tidy. Another thing that you'll notice as I'm making these stitches is that I am using the same hole in the fabric repeatedly. So adjacent stitches on the project are going to use the same hole in the fabric, and if you have a solid block of stitches, each hole in that area is going to be used 4 times, once by each stitch that is diagonally connected to that hole in the fabric. Sometimes when people miss that piece of information, they try to make their stitches all separate and leave some space in between them, and their project balloons in size and has a bunch of negative space inside of it. It seems like something so fundamental that a lot of us don't even think to mention it, and it creates a lot of extra work for new stitchers. Another way to save yourself work is when you are buying your fabric for your project, once you've figured out how big your project is going to be, add 6 inches to the size of the fabric that you buy. That's 3 inches top, 3 inches bottom, 3 inches left, 3 inches right. It seems wasteful, but that extra space gives you some place to put your hoop, and it gives you some place to stretch the project when you're going to frame it. You need that extra space around it for finishing as well as for working on the project. So just add 6 inches to the size, and that's your minimum fabric size. Also, as you're working, sometimes your thread is going to get kind of twisted up, and it will start to make your stitches look a little untidy, and it'll cause knots to form in your working thread. That's easy to fix if you're working in hand or in a hoop like this. You just lift your project up and let the needle dangle. The threads will untwist, you can grab it again and get back to stitching. And finally, when you are working from a physical pattern, say it was in a magazine or it came in a kit or you bought the pattern in a store or something like that, it is totally okay to make a copy of that pattern for your own use as a working copy. The one that you use will get folded and the printing will scratch off of it, and if you mark it up to figure out the parts that you've already done, then it can make the pattern hard to read in future. So even though the pattern is protected by copyright, you are legally allowed to make a working copy of that pattern to work from because you own that pattern. So don't be afraid of that. So that is a rundown of the basic questions that I see people asking or being afraid to ask most frequently. What about you? Was there something that you missed that you found out later was important and nobody bothered to tell you? Put it in the comments and maybe we can all learn from it. Other than that, I do want to thank you so much for watching. For Caterpillar Cross Stitch, my name is Ford, and I will see you next week.